I was just a little girl, I asked my mother,
what is this, Danny? I found it.
what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me.
It's me. Don't let her take my babies. This is what happened to Paul. It happened to us.
This evil creates terror through total chaos.
Aloha. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And today, opening weekend of the new Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Rises. I went and I saw it. And remember our rating scale, shock a thumbs up. It's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's junk, I don't recommend it. And for Evil Dead Rises, a new movie in the, what should I say, the Evil Dead universe, I guess. All the way from Ash with Bruce Campbell, back from 1981. Three movies with Bruce Campbell, directed by Sam Raimi. Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. An entire series, Ash versus the Evil Dead, on Stars. 10 episodes, excellent, tying directly into the mythology. There was a reboot or a remake of Evil Dead a few years back. Now, honestly, I did not see that one, but I am a fan of the Evil Dead. But having seen Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell's, I didn't want just a remake of Evil Dead. And thus, I didn't see this last one, although I do hear it was all right. But I cannot verify that myself. And for this new iteration, not a remake of any of the Evil Dead movies, but a new, hopefully jumping off point for the Evil Dead franchise. Without Bruce Campbell, he is not in this movie, nor is he mentioned in this movie at all. Evil Dead Rises. Remember our rating scale, shock a thumbs up. It's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And for Evil Dead Rises, it is overall a shock a thumbs down. It was a good effort for this movie. Like I was saying, it is not a remake. It is a new chapter in the Evil Dead universe. Same with Ash, Bruce Campbell's character. Same with that Necronomican. Same Deadites running around, possessing people, hoping to take over the world, and basically, I don't know how to explain it better than just make it hell on earth, essentially. This is that same, in the same vein, in the same scope. This is a new chapter in that whole story. It does not involve any of the old characters, does not involve Bruce Campbell's character at all, but it is the familiar Deadites. It is a Necronomicon. Apparently, a new version of this, or an added mythos to the existing genre, is that there were 3 tomes of the Necronomica, books of the dead, that were created. And this is a new one that was recently found post an earthquake, hidden away in an old abandoned vault over an apartment building that has been condemned or is in the process of being condemned. And well, that is where we find our current family, a woman of 3 daughters and 1 sister who comes to visit her. And unfortunately, one of the daughters, after the earthquake, finds this new copy of the Necronomicon. So now with Ash's version, we now have 2, so thus a sequel could take place easily enough, where the 3rd may be found. Who knows? What didn't I like about this movie? Essentially, the story and the writing. The action is spot on. It's really good in that there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of violence, just like we got with Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell's Evil Dead movies. Yet, this was written and directed by someone named Lee Cronin. I'm not familiar with any other bits of his work. I don't believe he wrote or directed the other remake of the previous Evil Dead version that came out a few years ago. But, as far as the violence and the blood and the overall mythology, he has that down, which, honestly, if you're a fan of the other movies, then you pretty much can get that down yourself as well. The problem comes with making likable stories. Ash, Bruce Campbell's character, was always a reluctant hero, saddened by the death of his fiancée, a tortured soul by these deadites that basically destroyed his life, his future wife, etc., and he swore revenge following that, and to put them back in their place of hell. In this one, you don't really, the main character is this is the sister of the woman who is possessed that you see in the trailer, who is visiting, her and her 3 daughters. A very unlikable character, and that turns out to be our protagonist, or our supposed protagonist, throughout this movie. The children, except for the youngest, are forgettable and somewhat jerks, especially the one that inadvertently finds and releases the Deadites from this new tome of new copy of the Necronomicon. Only the mother is both the actress and basically the story of her trying to survive, post-divorce, raising the 3 kids, getting evicted from her home, in the process of trying to find a new place. That is who I think the audience basically gravitate towards relating to for the overall story, someone that we can sink our hearts into, and then within, the first half hour, she is taken away, ripped away, stolen from us by the Deadites, and we are left with the shallow children and the sister, who I said is a jerk. And that's her origin story of becoming a hero, of trying to save the children and avenge her sister being taken over, that we're supposed to relate to and feel for and root for through this movie. However, it's really hard to, and it didn't sink home with me. I would have really much rather had maybe the sister or the other children get taken over, and the mother having to be the hero of the story, the protagonist, and having to deal with that. That would have felt better to me overall, and I think that actress was a much stronger character, both in her abilities as an actress, and overall story, you know, we can relate to her being a mother and the children. This sister, not so much, you know, being a jerk, essentially, and having to try to, you know, redeem herself in the eyes of everyone. You know, just didn't work overall. I really feel it would have been much better for the mother, the redhead that you see in the trailers, taken over by the Deadites, to have done this. Overall, although this is an original story, with this new copy of the Necronomicon, Book of the Dead, it plays out very much like the very first Evil Dead. You know, a recording you see in the trailers, a record. One of the daughters finds and plays the record, which has the incantation that summons the demons, this evil spirit, this force of, you know, chaos. What Ash would later call and find out would be the Deadites. You know, and, you know, begin to possess people throughout this apartment building. Starting off with the mother of the children and sister to our protagonist. That's about it. And then it plays out just like the rest of the show, Evil Dead, whereas, you know, it's a fight for survival to the very end. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, you know, but it is a bloody romp. By design, most likely, our heroine, that sister, the brunette, finds a shotgun, finds a chainsaw. And honestly, in the trailers even, when she is covered with her face full of blood and the black hair and her eyes wide, you see the whites of her eyes as she is just totally manic. Really kind of sort of looks a little bit Bruce Campbell-ish in that, but you know, as he has, you know, when pushed to the brink of his breaking point, and as she is, she definitely sells that Ash look. It's just a shame she can't get that feeling and give it to the audience, you know, to empathize and sympathize with for this movie. And also, this movie also muddily tells a tale of two stories. We kind of start off in the future, a day after the events, where, you know, you see part of that in the last trailer, I believe, at this sleepaway camp. We think it's a precursor to the movie. It's actually a post at the beginning of the movie, and then it goes back in time for the sister, for the two sisters and their, you know, and the rest of their family, the three daughters, and how this evil is unleashed. So to me, that's a little sloppy. So Deadites are still out in the world thanks to this. You know, basically, all right, I'll give you a spoiler here. The heroine, the redhead's sister, and the youngest daughter escape from the apartment building and escape the Deadites. However, the next day, the next morning, one person, a fellow occupant of the apartment that did not hear all of this massacre and was not terrorized by any Deadites, wakes up, leaves the apartment, not noticing anything is wrong until she gets to the basement, sees all this blood, and then boom, you know, the spirits of the Deadite possess her, which starts the film at the very beginning for the first 15 minutes. Which, again, doesn't really work with this camp. So, but they're out there. So they could either go that avenue with totally new story there. They could go another avenue of finding this third tome that is said to be out in the world, this third tome of the Necronomicon, the third copy. Or we could see the sister, the heroine, and, you know, her niece, which had escaped, maybe, see or notice that these deadites are proliferating throughout the world and attempt to stop them. Hopefully, maybe one of these will get a crossover where Ash, Bruce Campbell's character, will return, maybe teach her what's going on. If you saw the excellent Starz television show, Ash versus the Evil Dead, basically, we could see something like that where all of society basically falls to the deadites. And this could just be one of the movies in the precursor towards that. As in the end of that show, that series, on episode 10, we see Ash awakened in the future in cryogenic stasis, brought back to wage a new war against the deadites that have pretty much continued to swarm the earth, being now accepted as the hero and savior of mankind. He is given new technology, some type of cybernetics, in fact, to help him on his quest to defeat the deadites. That is hopefully the ultimate goal. I would really like to see another series of that or movie in the future, that if this is leading towards that, then okay. But unfortunately for this iteration, Evil Dead Rises, still a shock of thumbs down. Without Sam Raimi and Robert Tapper are producers of this movie, but without their guidance, and basically, I'll tell you right here, without Sam Raimi's wit in the writing to make a character, this new heroine, the Ash surrogate, relatable and likable, it just fell flat to me, and it didn't work. And also, there's no comedy, there's no, the other Evil Deads, they had funny moments. This one is just played straight for horrors and shock value, and I really think that is a discredit to the history of the Evil Dead, because without that, you're missing a big chunk of what Ash, brought to the table against the deadites. And even the deadites, they're the funniest part of this movie. You saw in some of the trailers, the mother who's possessed is kind of joking a little bit with her children. That's some of the highlights. It's just a shame the other characters can't find that wit that I feel that if Sam Raimi had written some of this or given some tips to Lee Cronin, it would have helped his movie out immensely. All right. There you have it. That's my review. Shock a thumbs down ultimately for Evil Dead Rises. If you are a big fan, like myself, of the Evil Dead series, especially with Bruce Campbell, those ones, and the series, definitely check those out and revisit those again. Then definitely see this one if you're a hardcore fan. If you're not, it's an okay horror movie, but still I think the Pope's Exorcist is a better story overall for recent possession movies, which, if someone's not familiar with the Evil Dead franchise, although this does catch you up as the new tale of spun, if you weren't familiar at all with the Evil Dead franchise, this will catch you up to speed. It just won't do it, I feel, enough to motivate you to see the other ones, or really wish to see a sequel. And For those people who aren't fans of the Evil Dead, it's best to just watch this streaming and video on demand when it comes out, you know, to enjoy at home, where maybe you can pause it and, you know, and you know, get your senses back after all the blood flows over you. And I do mean there is a lot of blood. You see in the trailer, the woman is caked in blood, covered in blood. There is a shining moment of an elevator, you know, opening up and hundreds of gallons of blood gushing out. You know, so I can't help but feel that that is a nod to The Shining in a way. I mean, that's the only other movie that I've seen with tons of blood gushing out of a elevator like that through the lobby. So take that with what you may. It's a nice nod, but it doesn't make for a great movie. And it didn't sell me on this movie. So again, still, unfortunately, shock and thumbs down overall. But I'm willing to check out, you know, Evil Dead Rises 2, especially if Bruce Campbell makes an appearance or Sam Raimi can maybe coax a little bit of his influence into the script for next time. All right. Mahalo and aloha.